it's not quite as bad as it was, the rain. So, as it says in the wording of the title of the video, I'm in Borehamwood. So if there's any locations here that you'd like me to visit, and I'll show you when I'm walking around here. I'm walking down Shenley Road just now, the main road in Borehamwood. I'll take you down to, on the first video that I've done today, I showed you the 2 studio complexes. I'll show you the 3rd studio complex while on my way down to the Butler house. So one of these, I know along here, if Fox Mulder's around, he will correct me on this. I'm sure one of these shops here used to be a restaurant, and you see it in the in one of the Monty Python films. Eric Idle comes out, he's done up like a waiter. I'm pretty certain that was one of these. I think it would have been something to me. It's like, I could be wrong, but where this all about, what's it called? I can't really read it. All about laptops shop is here. Somewhere like that, I think. Back in the day, that mean a restaurant, he runs out and he gets a taxi or something like that. But that was all filmed along here as well. Lots of stuff filmed around here actually. So I'm going to go on down again. Any donations that people want to make, that's warmly welcomed. It pays for clips like these down here. And I'll head on down. I'm going to turn into Clarendon Road. Clarendon Road is interesting in a way, because right at the foot of Clarendon Road, all the houses that are along Clarendon Road, you do actually see them in the backdrop of a Randall Hopkirk episode. When the car's travelling down, obviously it being a green screen, the car was never actually travelling down there. That would have been a truck filming the backdrop just to put onto the car as it's coming down here. So there was these houses that are across there that you see in the backdrop from our Randall Hopkirk episode. So this is Clarendon Road here. It's typical. I went in for a coffee and it dried up, and then as soon as I stepped outside again, it was starting to rain again. Well, I've got to cross over here. So, you know what you can do? Just put up anywhere you want me to visit here, and I'll do it within reason. Obviously, it needs to sort of ideally be within walking distance, but I'll endeavour to take them all in, take them in, and take you there, so you can have a look at the location. So these houses are the ones that you see in a backdrop of a Randall Hopkirk episode. I'm not sure which one it was. And just up, we're coming up, we'll see it. I can't really hang around long because the security gets very twitchy around the studio complexes as the BBC Elstree studios, where of course the EastEnders set is. Which they did actually film a scene from Holiday on the Mutiny on the Buses in, actually. If you remember the very start of Mutiny on the Buses, and you've got the camera up at a very high point, and it looks across to a block of flats and then spans around to the 2 buses parked up, and then you see it sort of like in reverse at the end of the film. That would have been, the camera would have been perched on Neptune House, which is over in the BBC Elstree block over there. Well, at that time then, it would have been the ATV studios, of course. And then obviously ATV became Central, so Central used it. That's why, if you remember, there was an old 1980s sitcom called Alfred St. Pet was filmed down here. And the actual old set of EastEnders, which is up there, you can see the railway bridge. I'll show you in a minute. I'll walk up close in that direction. You can see it right up there. That is the old EastEnders set. Now, before that was there, that used to be the building site for in Alfred St. Pet. And there you can see the BBC Elstree site there. And there you can see the back of the new EastEnders set, which was rebuilt. So we're going up now. I took some photographs here yesterday, some improved photos of the front of the Butler house, which I'll use in my next locations run through. So of course you've got the Butler house here, and then of course you see in Mutiny on the Buses when Olive rides the motorbike and she knocks down the bins, which are just around about there. She knocks them all down. We know that because you see that wall there. You do see that it's still there. They sort of like the patterned wall right there. You do see the edge of that as well. And the bins would have been just outside here, outside numbers 53 and 51. And then, of course, in the first film as well, when the bus is pulling up to the Butler house, we see it. The camera would have been filming from over here. And we see the Banbury Terrace sign, which you can still see is still there to this day, up on the side of the houses over there. So we know the bus comes up in this direction, stops and drops off the family. And you see Arthur walks over his last one there, walks across to the Butler house, which is right there. Now this house here you see in the background, it's 36 Clarendon Road, has had an extension since they filmed the On the Buses films here. You have a look there, the door and number 36 above it, that's all that there was. The windows on the other sides weren't there then, back in 1972. They just never had them there, so that's an extension that's been built on there since they filmed On the Buses here in Mutiny on the Buses in On the Buses film, it features in 1971. So it would just be the number 36 and no more than that. The side of the house would have went right along there, so it's had a house extension. So the Butler house here, there you've got it, right Olive in the sidecar. And I think it's a shot when Arthur's Olive in the sidecar. And I think it's a shot when Arthur's can't get the bike started, and he shouts, I've taken the thingy off the starter clutch up. And there you go there, it's that's the view that you get looking across here. And of course it is the scene as well when you see Stan coming back with his flowers for Sally in the first spin-off film. And he's walking along in this direction. He walks past that telegraph pole, walks up and crosses over the road here and up and into Malden Road. And as you can see, these houses have just popped up in about the last 5 years. Beyond that, you can just see, if you have a look closely, you can just see the remnants of the old EastEnders set right there behind them. And beyond that, there's the old Bridge Street bridge in the set. Okay, so that covers you for the 3 studios that you've seen in the 2 different videos today. But if you just want to post up any suggestions that you've got of where you would like to me to visit for you, then that's fine. I'm happy to do it while I'm here. I'm not getting any messages up just now, so I'm getting, my connection is going in and out of connection, so I'm hoping that you're watching this now, and as soon as they do, as I got the connection, it will get the message to tell if you've posted something up to tell me which location you'd like to see. So heading back down onto Shenley Road, you can see this white building that's right out on the main road. That's the Venue 96. That's where we had our an On the Buses event there. I also held my book launch event for the On the Buses Film Locations book that I did. That was over in Venue 96 here. So what I'll do is, if I don't get any recommendations of where you'd like to see the locations, I'll cross over the road here at Shenley Road, take you down Cardinal Avenue, because there's points of interest down there. Of course, you can put in multiple places that you'd like to see, but I think I'm going to have to sort of like put them into an order of which I can get to them at. There's no point in someone saying, oh, I want to see the Launderette, and the Launderette's away down in south east Borehamwood, and then somebody else comes along and says they want to see Turnaround Betty's. Well, I might very well be away up at on my way up to Manor Way, whereas White House Avenue's in the opposite direction. So just got to be careful how I do this here. I've never sort of tried doing this before, but it should all work pretty well. Thankfully the rain seems to have stopped just now, which is good. Nice sort of like a drying wind, drying out my wet garments. Oh, before I cross, I'll go down here because I'll show you another point of interest here, which is again, I think it's at the start of the starting credits of the of Who the Sane Pet. You see Pat Roach comes out and puts his hand out to stop a bus, and I do believe you see these in the background there. If you've got the address, I'll go and visit it, but I'm sort of like strictly sticking to On the Buses locations, Lisa, but I'm more than happy, since you kindly donated to me on the last walk, I'm happy to go down there if you give me the actual number of whereabout it is. But just cross over here. So it's basically where the tree is that you would have seen Pat Roach would have come out and put his arm out to stop the bus coming down here, down Shenley Road. Of course, down Shenley Road they filmed a lot of the opening credits of from the On the Buses film and from Mutiny on the Buses, all down here. But if you've got the address, if you've got that address, Lisa, I will take that in. So, and I'll try and remember it, just to keep things moving at a decent little pace here. As I say, anyone who wants to make a donation, that's all welcome. These trips don't come free, if you know what I mean. For me personally, they cost money. So these across the road there, you can see that, I'm not sure what it is, it's like the nuclear thingy, protest thingy. I'm not sure what exactly. I do remember, but I can't remember the exact title of it, just behind the car there. And that you see in the episode of Randall Hotcock, and it's graffiti that's been on the wall there for about 50 odd years, would you believe? Just right there on that wall, all graffitied out. All right, I'm heading down that way, Lisa, so we'll take that in. You can give me a shout when you're there, and I'll point it out to you. I'm just going to take you up to a location scene. I'll probably walk back and down and around White House Avenue just to pass, but I won't really stop there because I know that the woman there is very camera conscious. Once I was taking photographs for my filming locations before, and they told me to delete my pictures, which since then people have said to me she's not really got a right to do, because I'm photographing from public land. I'm not on the property taking any photographs, but at the time I didn't want to really rock the boat and really upset her, so I agreed to do it. I just deleted all the photographs. So I'll have to be careful. I'll just walk past there, probably scan the camera around as I'm going down, but I won't really hang around, unfortunately. It's a shame. That person's maybe moved in there maybe about 2-3 years ago. The previous people, if I remember rightly, they were an Indian family and they were fine when we used to go down there on parts of the On the Buses events. So as I say, it's not really, it's a little bit better now, the rain. It's just mainly spitting a bit. One thing I find funny as well, because he also filmed the George and Mildred film here. I won't take you up there because it's a little bit sort of like, it's going against what I'm really here for, which is the On the Buses stuff. Well, that's the thing. It's like Jim, who was driving me around yesterday, said, he made a pertinent point. She's saying that nobody's to take photographs of her property, yet she's got a camera surveillance out, taking photographs of people out in the street. So I don't really see the logic there. It's okay for her to take videos and footage of people out in the street. We're on public land, but people can't do the reverse for her. So I really don't get that at all. I really don't. And it was weird as well, because I had my lanyard with me, which is where I go with really, and I'll just show you that. There's a lanyard there that I've got. It explains everything on there, what I'm about. I had a copy of my book as well. So I had a copy of my book, I had the lanyard, I had the screen grabs to show everything like that. So you didn't need any more evidence than that. That wasn't there to try and case the joint or anything like that. But she still wanted the pictures deleted. Right, so the funny thing is, it's just up and around the corner here that they filmed the Roper House and the spin-off film of George and Mildred. And just down here before, that's the next road up on your right, the White House Avenue carries around. And here, just down from it, you've got Mildred Avenue. I always find that really quite funny. I've just recently got a gimbal. That's supposed to be a really good thing, but it's not waterproof, but it's supposed to be really good. It gives you really smooth footage. It's really good, and it moves automatically, the lens and everything like that. I did intend to use it while I was down here, but it's a little bit tougher to get the live footage like this here. I can do it live and it goes right onto Facebook. With that, you've got to take it back, put it onto a computer, edit it. So I'll probably leave that for a later date and do some of my live location visits on it. But it does give really good footage, apparently. Now, so we're getting up to the point now. You may remember in the first film, we were just speaking about George and Mildred there, of course. And that leads nicely on to the lady that's going up the stairs that Jack has a view of her pants, as Linda Regan, who was married to Brian Murphy, of course, who played George and Mildred. And of course, Rob Hickey, who lives in Borehamwood, he's lived here all his life, whose dad was Michael Hickey, who was a sound man, noted sound man, worked on films as big as Ryan's Daughter and such like. He was playing football. He lives up and round the corner here, not far from here. And his mate said, quick, they're filming on the buses down here, down the road. So he came down, and in the midst of filming this scene, where you see the passengers getting on, and he's standing by the bus. You see that house across there in the background. It's after the bus has actually come along in this direction, and it turns here, pulls up here, and it was filmed right here. The bus would have stopped right here. And Rob, he came down and he said, he watched them completed this scene, and then he went up and asked Bob Grant for his autograph. He took off a bit of his, like, the notepad that he had for his parts of his props, signed it and gave it to him. He goes, there you go, Sonny, and patted him on the head. But Rob says that he's lost that. And they got an autograph of Reg Varney when he was waiting, when he was inside the red line. He waited outside, came out and got his autograph, but he's lost that as well. So crossing over, so we're going to White House Avenue now. Now White House Avenue carries all the way along. So this is White House Avenue, and it carries along there, which is down and around the corner there is where the house is in the George and Mildred film. So we're going to head back. I'm going to head along down White House Avenue. I'm not going to, as you say, I'm not going to stand around and point and poke. I'll just walk down with this camera here, and hopefully it won't attract any attention anyway. I'm not going to be really pointing it in a direction, only maybe in a matter of maybe 30 seconds or such like. So just heading on down. As I say, anyone who wants to make a donation, they can do, like Lisa kindly did earlier on. It all helps towards his bills of travelling around up and down the country, from Scotland down to London area. Bit of a shame that the weather's turned so bad. It was lovely yesterday, but today it's not the best, although it is, thankfully it's dried up now. Hopefully it's the last we'll see of the rain today. So there's the other side of if you watch the video earlier on, I was saying the beech trees, that's the other side of the beech trees running down there. That was the perimeter of the studios. Beyond that is where the old studio backlit was, which is now the Tesco Extra. Now there in the distance, the big grey building built just on this side of the flats, that's Neptune House right there. So that's where the camera would have sat on top of to film the opening scenes from, and the end scenes of Mutiny on the buses, which will go down to, like Rob requested, he wants to see the locations where they filmed the opening scenes of Mutiny on the buses at. I'll tell you a couple of interesting things about that as well. So just heading on down here. So it's a shame as well, which was brought to my attention, the little bungalow that's next to Turnaround Betty's house has just recently in the last few months been knocked down. It's just an open plot there now with green fencing around it. You'll probably see it from here, which is a real shame, because you do see it in the film. You can just see the green fence in there. So just carrying on down here, White House Avenue. You do see the bus coming up here. It turns round out of Shenley Road on its way in the opening credits before it pulls up here outside Turnaround Betty's. So it will be after these, after it turned out of these, it will be the next locations, your charity shop, Lisa. You'll probably be able to recognise it from the actual, where it actually appeared in The Prisoner. So of course this bit here on this side, there you can see the houses up there. That is the ones that you see the rear of in the Blakey Getting Towed scene. And then there you've got the little pointed roofs there on down of the bungalow type buildings that you do see if you watch Holiday on the Buses again. And of course here is where you see the bus shelter is, and you can see the arch bit is still here, right here as well. It's not really changed at all. And across there, I don't want to linger too long. That is Turnaround Betty's and where the bungalow was next to it. But I don't want to linger too long. Okay, at least you got to have a look at it. But there is the plot of the is now gone, the bungalow. I shudder to think what's going to get built there. It'll probably be some ugly monstrosity that doesn't keep in with the likes of what else there is down here. You'd think that they would stipulate, that's what they do in Edinburgh. They're not putting up any new buildings, they've got to try and stick to what there is already there or what is replaced. But it doesn't seem that there's there's that same sort of ethic and elsewhere. I would imagine it'll be something that will look totally out of place there, I reckon. So of course what you see is, I'll just step out into the middle of the road here. What you see is the restaurant, which is Borehamwood. It's got like the maroon coloured sort of like frontage at the top signage, Borehamwood Cafe. I do believe that was Jean's, which was like a ladies' clothes shop then, which you see in a lot of the shots. So of course this is where you see as well down here, you see the bus doing its turn into Shenley Road, off of Shenley Road into White House Avenue. I would have went out into the middle of the road to try and give you a good comparison, but I don't think it's going to be possible. Yeah, it'll probably be some glass monstrosities as well, Fox, which is really sad. It's totally against the grain of what was there before. So basically, they see the bus doing a turn, probably at an angle something like that, and then it makes its turn. You see it turn in here, and then it carries on up in this direction. I'm going to have to get out of the way of the road. But the panels that you see across the road on the pavement, you do actually see them there, which are still there in front of the estate agents. Right, so now we're on the hunt for this second-hand shop, charity shop. So I know there used to be a second-hand shop along here somewhere. It might have been the mini market. I don't know if that's the one that you were thinking of, Lisa. Oh right, is it like the Borehamwood supermarket then? Just here, Borehamwood supermarket maybe? Because that's where the tree is. And then you've got the Michael Yo estate agents. Gents grooming, then it would have to be in the gents grooming. Is that where it was then, Lisa? Just where the gents grooming shop is? Because that's next to it, that's where the restaurant, or as it's called, the Arch. And then you've got gents grooming. So I take it you mean it's a gents grooming that's between Michael Yo's estate agent and the restaurant there. I need to forget that I'm doing this, because they'll put a block on it, or at least they'll stop it earning any revenue if they hear me mentioning actual places. They'll think I'm doing an advert for it, which it isn't. So there you go, that's your charity shop there, gents grooming, and the prisoner episode. Oh, so it's the Arch, you say. So there's the Arch. So it was the Arch, you say. Okay, so that's it there. And I know, as I say, there was an episode of the Champions where one of them comes out and he gets a message like they used to, like telepathic message. You know, used to get that eerie little music. And that was coming out of here, which is closed down now as well. I noticed that a lot of the banks are closing down in Borehamwood, because there's one further up the street, I think it's Santander, and it's closing, it says, in July. So, heading along, so basically if you look across where all the space is from the trees, all the way along to over there, is all that used to be old studio land. All of that there was the studios. And what I find is really sad about the talk about them wanting to flatten what remains of the studios, it comes a year after Paul Welsh, the man who helped start a Save Our Studios campaign and rescue the studios from closure, but he's no longer here to do the same. Really sad. So the flats that you see over there are the ones that you see the camera zoom in on from Mutiny on the buses. That's Canterbury House, and it was up in there, I think, the very top flat where they filmed they actually hired it out for The Shining, the top flat. The famous scene where, of course, he gets the axe and hacks the door down and he looks through it and he says, "Here's Johnny." That was actually filmed up there, and they actually paid for the makeover of the actual house for the owner. So I'm going to head on down to the other location that Rich was asking about, which is actually a weird one, really. We're just coming up here. This building here in the middle is the one where the cinema was. So if you ever look at the one with the glass sort of like part on the lighter brickwork, that is roughly where the cinema was, Studio 71. Then it got knocked down, and then there was another set of office blocks went up there. Then they got knocked down, and they've just went up in the last 2-3 years. So heading along, going to head on down. Obviously there's the LCD studios there, and as I said earlier on in my video, You can see the scaffolding from here. I'll just nip out here and I'll explain my bits again, because I didn't think you got to see closely enough. You get a better view from here. If you remember the scenes from when they're looking at inspecting the motorbike and sidecar, that was filmed in the backyard of the studio manager's house, which is right across the road here, right there. And you know that because if you look at that, that's the old powerhouse of and there. It's got generators and such like there. And you see those windows with the white on and white paintwork above them in the background. And also in the background over this side, you see that part of the studios there with the sort of like the grooves in the top of the building in the background as well, when the camera sort of like looks across. So that's how we can pinpoint exactly where the studio manager's house was. It's on Facebook, Lisa. If you go onto Facebook, if you're on Facebook, just go onto Facebook and type in On the Buses filming locations now and then, and you'll come across it. So if you have a look there, you can see this, just where it says Elstree Studios, up and above and behind that, you can see they've got scaffolding up. Now I'm hoping that's them beginning to do some work on repairing on the demolition of the two sound stages that are there that are being built with rack. And that was announced 2-3 years ago, and they said it was going to be like last March or something, which is over a year ago now. It was going to be starting the work to knock them down, but that never started. So hopefully that's it starting now, because it would be a sign that that they are intent on keeping these studios open. Because I can't see them spending money to knock down those two sound stages and then flatten the studios. It'd be a total wastage of money. So hopefully that's a sign that that's what that is going to be. They're actually doing some preparation work on the getting that demolished, because then that will mean that the studios are safe. So just head back down in this direction here. There's a monument that's like memorial for the dead, the fallen in the world wars. So yeah, the location page basically is where I run through all of my filming locations. My filming locations, On the Buses filming locations, I own the biggest database in the world, without a shadow of a doubt. I can say that with my hand on my heart. Once I've added on the latest locations that I've done on this trip, we're talking about will be somewhere between 750 and 800 filming locations, all where I've visited and photographed. Be that Wales, London, Borehamwood, to the filming locations. Or you'll find filming locations here on the real, what's it called? Real something or other it's called. But, sorry, but it's inferior to mine's, because that's littered with screen grabs of Google Earth, Google Street View images of the location. Nobody's went and photographed them. And there's lots there, locations that are saying awaiting location, so they don't know a lot of the locations. I know them all, and yet you get people posting up links to this website that's inferior to mine's. You know, it's just like getting a corner shop going onto a forum for Marks and Spencer's saying, "Oh, come here and you can buy this." You know, it's beggars belief, really. Right, so we're coming down to another location here. Well, it's not exactly a location, but it is a place that holds fond memories for me. Is the location where we used to use it as a location for our events, which is Fairway Hall. Real streets, that's it, yeah. Now the RAAC is actually reinforced aluminium, something concrete is a term for it. They call it RAAC or something, aerated it's reinforced aerated aluminium concrete. I think that's the correct terms for it, RAAC. So across there you've got the Fairway Hall. That is where we used to hold our events there for On the Buses. Remember, Anna used to have a seat and sit out the front there and have a wee cigarette. Yeah, a lot of people now no longer with us, obviously, since we've done the events there, like Ronnie Wolf, Ronnie Chesney, Anna, Harry Fielder, all sadly no longer with us. So across the road here we've got a school which I do believe features, I'm not an expert, but it's just amongst somebody who, I think it's Rob Hickey, the band I was telling you about earlier, who's a bit more of a fan than I am of Here Comes the Double Deckers, which I do believe they filmed at this gate here. At these gates to this school. So that's right there. I'm not sure the exact angle for the camera and all that because I'm not well versed on that subject. So I'm going to go down to the next request, if you will, which is what was that? Rich was asking where they filmed start of Mutiny on the Buses, where Stan gets engaged. So it's an odd one, this really, for a couple of reasons. I do hope maybe sometime in the future, I know in my locations group I can only do so much with what I can to get the angles and everything, so it's impossible at the moment to get a real angle of the height that they filmed from for the opening credits of Mutiny on the Buses. And I'll just take you over the road because I'll show you the sort of angle that you get. So this is Brook Road that we're on to now, and Brook Road features heavily in the closing credits as the bus is heading along in this direction up towards the studios, as the as closing credits roll. Now, there's Borehamwood Football Club, which I do believe you do actually see a little part of in that opening shot when the camera pans around. So where the buses would have been parked is across the road there, where you've got the lamppost. I'd say the first bus would have been parked there, the second bus would have been parked behind it. So up to and around where the bushes are there, the two buses. I'll get to that in a minute, Fox. When we go up there, I'll tell you. Now, there, I would say, is where the bus was parked, and then the second bus was parked beyond it. My guessing behind why they didn't film the rest of this scene here, because they didn't. You actually see so the building that's up there with a grey top to it, that's Neptune House. So it's from there that they would have got the shot. The camera looks across at the flats first, and then it pans over round to down here where the buses are parked. Right here. And then obviously when you're snogging the girl up on the upper deck, you're snogging Susie, and then the other clippy later in the film, that wasn't filmed here. For reasons I would say is because they didn't have the time to film here. You can see yourself how busy this road is. And that was an intricate shot that they had. So the very opening part of that scene was filmed here, where the bus is parked up. They probably wouldn't have even sat there at all for any length of time. They probably would have just caught the two buses parked up back to back there, and that's it. That's all that they would have needed to get for that shot. And then they would have moved on to the rest of the scene, which was filmed round the corner, about maybe 150, 200 metres away around the back of Borehamwood's football ground. Another sad thing I noticed yesterday when I was down taking more photographs and such like, the brick wall, the ornate little wall, which had been updated and had been kept in the same style on one of the properties on Butler Road that helped pinpoint exactly where the motorbike and sidecar crashes into the telegraph pole. That wall has now been removed, sadly, which is a shame. There's just nothing there now. The wall's been totally removed. So the next protocol is where they filmed the rest of the scene, where Stan does actually get engaged. The first scene back there that we were just showed you on Brook Road is where you see the buses parked back to back. And if you watched what Fox Mulder was just talking about there, he was talking about there's a screen grab, there's a publicity shot that you see Reg sitting with a chimpanzee on his lap on one of his chairs between filming, obviously, from Mutiny on the buses. And obviously we know, we pinpointed exactly whereabouts this was. Now, the location where they filmed the second part of the opening scene, when Stan's snogging upstairs and then Blakey comes along in his second bus behind, is out here on Broadwater Road, which we're just coming up to now. So that is across there, that's your Borehamwood football ground there. So if you look around and find that photograph of Stan with a chimp on his lap, they would have been filmed, they would have had chairs parked here, obviously between filming. How do you know that? Because you can see those houses at the top of the street. Exactly the same, right at the top of the street there. Those two right there that you can see. You would have seen them a lot easier than what you can now from this location because of those trees have grown up. Obviously they wouldn't have been there. But those two houses you can see in the background. So it would have been around about here where the chairs were parked in this grassy area, because they filmed the rest of the opening scenes of Mutiny on the buses right here. So the bus would have been parked here. Now you can see there, across there, that's the house you see in the background, but that house here, this part of the house is an addition, an extension if you will. I think it's an extra house that's been added on there, so that wouldn't have been there, it would have just been that was there. So this is where the bus would have been parked, right here. Because we know that, because at the end, when they buses pull up in the background, Blakey gets off, comes along, and he's giving them stick, and then you see the view in the background like that of those houses, the mirrors, the windows, as he's shouting at them. And then as he says, you haven't let me check your way bill, and he gets on and the bus takes off, and then he falls, and you see this path as he falls. The path is still actually there as he falls. You see that path in the background. You do see that hedge when they're snogging upstairs as well, that hedge in the background, but you won't see that new part of the building. Obviously it was just this house, the side of this house here that you saw. So the side of this house here, this portion here is new. That's a new addition. Now of course they also filmed here as well for the end of Mutiny on the Buses when Blakey's been demoted. And this is ones that I got yesterday for screen grabs for new ones. And this is when Blakey stops and he stops people from getting on. He goes, no, we can't get on just yet. And you can see that window there, just below the drain pipe is what there is. So it's from around about this angle. Although we can't see the window now because it's blotted out by a hedge. But that's where it would have been, this angle that we see. A little bit wider because you do actually see the doors of the other properties, so it would be about that angle that we get there. So this is where they all filmed this here, and you've still got the grassy verges that you see on the episode as well, and the film, sorry, when Blakey runs along when he first jumps off the bus to catch them at the start of the film. Okay, so what is next on the agenda? It's up to you to tell me where you want me to go from here. I don't want to be wandering off in another direction and then you tell me that you'd rather go and see such and such's house or something like that. I would say it's probably best that I head back in towards the town centre, because it's a long walk to the to Fusk Road where Blakey gets splashed. It's a good miles walk maybe from here. And it's quite a walk to get to the row of shops that you see in Rossington Avenue. That's probably about a mile from here as well. So I'm going to head back into the town centre now, and then I'll let you decide. Hi Debbie, I'll let you decide where you want me to visit next for you. And that is another clue that gives you, as I was saying, about where the publicity shot with Reg with the chimp on his lap with those houses in the background. That's how we know that they had chimpanzees in Borehamwood for the scene. And that is why as well how we know, I don't know, you might be able to find it on this channel somewhere. I did do a video about it. The scene in Mutiny on the Buses when we see the chimps jumping onto the back of the bus, that was not filmed in the safari park. Definitely not. How can I be so certain? If you look at that scene again, you can see that the roads and it's like a dusty track that the bus is driving along. Windsor Safari Park had freshly made, freshly tarmacked roads. It was all pristine, and the grass was unkept, whereas at Windsor Safari Park it was well manicured and trimmed and all of that. So that's how we know for a fact. And as well, if you look at that scene in the background, you can see a row of houses. There is nowhere around Windsor Safari Park where there's any houses. So that is a definite no that they did not film the chimp scene. I've got an idea of where they did film it, but there's no real way of saying conclusively that they did. It's just at the back of where the studios, the LC studios are, on a grassy bit of land with houses in the background as well, which fits perfectly. Plus as well, we know that they needed to have chimpanzees at the studios as well for another reason. And we know fine well that they had chimps at LC Studios because they needed it to do the green screen filming when the chimp's on the steering wheel and the bus is going around, then it cuts to the bus going round and round in circles. So the chimp on the steering wheel with Red's pulling the steering wheel this and that, and he's saying, oh, he's got my bum in my face. That would be doing just done in the studio with the bus stationary machinery, and that's how we know that needed the chimp in the studios as well. Chimps as well would have been trained chimps, probably circus chimps from something like Chipperfield Circus that was going around at that time, or Jerry Cottle or whoever it was a big thing in the circuses of that time. So they wouldn't have been chimps from the safari park, because the safari park wouldn't have allowed them out of the safari park away for filming and such like. So heading back in to the town centre. So if you want to post up where you would like me to visit, then I'm happy to do it, and then wherever it is I can point out any other locations on the way, points of interest for you. As I say, feel free to make any sort of donations. It's all welcome. All goes towards making these clips and these videos and these live videos and such like all possible. Oh. So you just need to post up anything that you want to see, any locations that you want to see. So there's Borehamwood's football ground from this end as well. There is a possibility, as I say, Jim, who attended my walking tour in Peckham, he's also just back from Prestatyn, where he got drone footage going over the holiday camp. So it gives you a much better angle of the elevated position, which he says he's more than happy to give to me. So this elevated position there is the top of Neptune House. It's filming across to the block of flats there and down to the buses parked on this side of the road. And it's one of those that we could perhaps try and get a similar like for like with the use of Jim's drone as well. So we might get a better look like for like then with that. It's something to try at a later date, I suppose. It's very kind of Jim, and he says it's okay for me to use however I want to use the footage. This is really nice. So thanks to Jim for that, and for the use of the cars I run about. Hope you enjoyed seeing all these locations that you saw yesterday that I'll take you to, Jim, as well. Hope you got something from the day. Well, the main bulk actually, Fox Malden, main bulk are actually on Bullhead Road. They filmed far more in Bullhead Road than they did Rossington Avenue. The only shots that they done in Rossington Avenue were at the start of the first film. That was the only thing they filmed there, with them coming out of the shops and then the bus taking off and leaving the disenchanted passengers behind. So there's much more to see in Manor and Bullhead Road, which is I think where I'm going to go to now. Well, whether they're fans or not, I don't really know. There's people that have come out and stopped me when I've been at these locations, and they say, oh yeah, I remember on the buses. And then when you tell them that they actually filmed there, then they're really very surprised by it. I know that Fox Mulder spoke to the owner of the house of the scene in the holiday on the buses, the camp manager's house, and she remembers them all filming there and everything inside inside the house. But me personally, I've spoken to people when they've asked what I'm doing and all of that, and then they've been surprised to find out that on the buses was filmed there. Just like yesterday, there was a man that came out and asked me, he lived in Carlin Road, and he was surprised to find that his film actually, his house actually appeared in the film. At least it's dried up now. It's the rain's gone off again, which is good. So again, we're heading up here towards the studios. We're going to head left to head towards Bullhead Road, I think. That gives you the best opportunities to have a look at as many locations in a small area, which they filmed very heavily in Mutiny on the buses in. Thanks for the donation, Anthony, very much appreciated. Every bit, as I say, helps to go towards these events and travelling down here. This is my last full day down in Borehamwood for this trip. We'll be leaving here tomorrow around about, I don't know, about maybe noonish, about 11 o'clock. We'll be heading back into London and for a train back up to Scotland. So that's the offices of the Hertsmere Borough Council there, who are actually the owners of the Elstree Studios now. So going to cross over here, which is we're on to Elstree Way. There's one of Sullivan's buses going along there. So that green bus there is owned by Sullivan Buses. Sullivan Buses are big around this area, very big as well. They helped us with supplying the buses. Dean Lovelyman supplied our buses for the on the buses event. Massive in the industry as well, in terms of he supplies buses, still probably does for filming and all that. His buses have been seen, you might have seen them in Lloyd's Bank adverts, a Doctor Who episode, even in our do believe a James Bond film, also in episodes of the Bill EastEnders, so many, the Paul Whitehouse show as well. Basically if there's a bus that's seen on telly, there's a good chance it might have been Dean Sullivan's. Dean's bus base is based out at South Mims, and just behind that, where his depot is, it's Wash Lane, the location where you see the motorbike and sidecar heading along a country lane with that are heading on the way to the hospital. Then it goes over the Humpback Bridge. I'll give it a miss just now. I was going to try and run there, but I didn't want to risk my arm or weight here. So again, as I said on my earlier video, that's the fire station that we see in I think it's the episode of Here Comes the Double Bit Deckers, right opposite which was a library scene in the Light Lads film. All of these are new as well, these flats here. They've only just sprung up about the last 5 years or so. 5 to 10 years at the absolute maximum. And this is the old police station. I think the police now, if you want help from anyone in Borehamwood to get calls, they're all taking, I think it might be Watford. That's as far as way as that. So heading east along Elstree Way. Next we'll be turning right into Bullhead Road, featured a heck of a lot in the Mutiny on the buses. So these flats are on the edge of bottom end of Bullhead Road as well. They've all cropped up in the last few years. It used to just be the normal standard houses running all the way down here. So this is Bullhead Road now. So obviously across the road there is where you see a shot of the bus first getting towed. I should tell a lie, I think that's the second shot, because you can see the discontinuity. The first scene that you see them getting towed is actually at the top of the hill heading in that direction, and then we go to the second shot, which is across the road there, which I don't want to go across, it's a little bit busy over there just now, filming going down. The bus is coming up in this direction, so there's a discontinuity there. So there's also discontinuity because there's a scene when you see the motorbike is actually crashing, when it's about to crash into this telegraph pole, and then when it cuts, and after Stan and Jack run down, and they say, you get off, and they say, "It's getting them off me." It's actually a telegraph pole up here that they filmed at. Why they did that, I don't know. They maybe couldn't get clearance to film at that spot back down there, so they just decided to go to the other. They needed another telegraph pole, and maybe they got clearance to film up here. But it's definitely two different locations, because the shot when you see it just about to hit the telegraph pole, the houses all match up down with what's across the road there. Whereas you can see here in the background, you've got like a bungalow sort of like type buildings. And that's how we know that they did not film the sort of like the motorbike and sidecar about to hit into this telegraph pole. But sadly the wall, as I was saying earlier on, the wall that you actually see that's got ornate brickwork down the side of it, it's actually gone now. It's been removed, as you can see here. It would have been in this part here where there's nothing here, where there's a garden, the white van's parked. Now there used to be a wall that used to have bricks sort of like laid top to tail and up and down that way along here, but sadly that is no more. So this is actually where the sidecar is, and he says, "Get them off me." It's all there from around right here. Now you see this house across the road for a brief shot when the bus passes, when the engine's smoking. You get this shot in the background, and that's when the bus is coming down here, when he's got the dartboard balanced on the engine and he's trying to struggle to get it off. You see the view across there. Now I had a running debate with somebody on my the Facebook group when I was doing the run-throughs. The person was adamant it was a different location, but definitely that location. Yes, the roof has changed and all of that, but that's because if you have a look at the back, you can see the rear of the property. They've added an extension, or an extension has been added there, and it was added, it's been there about 20 odd years now. 20, maybe even 30 years it's been there. So they've had to totally remodel the side of that building. The roof has actually changed, and that's why it looks so different. It was definitely filmed there without a shadow of a doubt, where he's struggling to get the dartboard off of the engine. Location here as well. Pity I wasn't here. We could take a photograph now, because you can get a full shot of there is the famous manhole cover that you see Olive stuck down. So there you go, right there, and that's where you see Stan and Jack running down the road, and she's stuck in the middle of the manhole cover right there. It's typical. The times that I'm wanting to take photographs, there's plenty of scope to come and take the photographs now, but I can't. Obviously I'm doing a video now. Normally it was the same with yesterday when I was photographing. I did intend to photograph them, but there was a big car parked right up to here, so I couldn't get out and get the shot of all of it, which is really unfortunate, but that's just the way it goes when you're photographing locations and everything. So I'll head on up in this direction, because again you see this further up here from various angles as the motorbike is gathering speed, and they've had the handlebars whipped off. So we see from around about this angle when the handlebars have been ripped off, and we see that those houses in the background over there. you do see it in various stages further up as well, because you do this in close sequence. Of course, you do see as well the tent out in the middle of the road for a brief shot, and we know that it's still here as well because we've got the lamppost and telegraph pole there as well. So head on up. Another part that you do see is, and the hedges have grown a lot over the years, it's an earlier stage of the motorbike running out of control. And it's those across the road there, you see the big tall hedges, they've grown a little bit in height. They've grown quite a bit in height, but you do see this angle there, right, of the motorbike speeding down in this direction. And in one of these houses here, I think it might be 52 or maybe even 56, up until recently, I don't know if he still does, is where Ken Baker lives. And he worked on the production crew, team of the On the Buses films, all of the On the Buses in particular. I'm not sure, but there's a shot up here as well where you see Ronnie Wolf and Ronnie Chesney sat on the garden wall, and this is up in this direction up here. That's at the spot where the road painter gets his head stuck in a pot. They must have been maybe filming that scene, and they done a publicity shot, or I'm just chilling out between filming. So you see this telegraph pole as well, and one of these in the shots as well, the telegraph pole and lamppost as the motorbike's getting towed up the hill, and you see sort of like you see Arthur whistling away. And we know that the motorbike, whenever Arthur was on it and Holiday on the Buses, was always towed, because you always get a very close up, and it's so close up that you don't get to see the rope actually towing the motorbike. So that would be the line right here, you get a view as well. Now, what you see right at the end of the road back in the day in the film, where that tan and cream coloured building is right at the bottom of the road, that would have been Oaklands College, but obviously it's a different building then. That was knocked down, as I said in my last video, about probably be around about maybe 2010 that got knocked down, and there's flats being built there now. Right, so I spoke to you earlier on as well. I'm just going to show you again if it's a point of any interest. This is my theory of the Mutiny on the Buses location, when the chimps jump on the back of the bus. You may remember it's got like a Union Jack draped over the back of the bus, where the engine is, and they jump onto that, the chimps. I think I've got it on my video, one of these videos. I think it's already on my YouTube channel, but I'll just as I'm in the vicinity, I can show you now, save you going and looking for it, I suppose. So this is like your dusty track. It was probably more expansive, as you can see. It does expand out in areas there as well. It's probably changed over the years. But the key thing here to remember is that the studios are over the back lot, over the back of these trees here. So it was right within, they probably had an access road to even get up here onto it. And the thing that really draws me to this location is, if you look over the road there, over the back, there's your houses that you see in the background. Now, the one that's in particular as well, if you watch it, you've got to be really quick to catch it on a pause when that stage is happening. You can see that there's one of these houses that's got like a white tarpaulin over it, which it looks like they're having work done on the rear of the property. Now, if you look there, you can see one of those has had an extension added sometime down the line, way after it's been built. So that could very well have been the tarpaulin right there on there when they were having that extension added onto that house. But I would definitely say that they filmed it in the Borehamwood area, that scene. It definitely wasn't at the safari park, because nowhere in the safari park is there anything like a backdrop like that with houses in it. So you can see how close we actually are to the studios there, because if I just stand here and I'll zoom in for you, there through the trees you can see the little red, grey, dark grey panelled sites to the Platinum stage, which is the new stages that were built about 5 years ago for the studios, and they opened up about 5 years ago, called the Platinum stage. Just take you up closer, so that is how close the studios are to this location. So just give you a little zoom in case you didn't see that again. You can just see them through the trees there. That's the back end of the Platinum stages. Right, so we'll head back out onto Butler Road. Again, as I said, if you've got any sort of like locations that you want me to show you, then I'm more than happy to do it. Another sad thing that I noticed yesterday, which I will point out as well, because it's just a stone's throw from where I am and in the direction I'm going to walk. As I said, anyone that's watching feels free and they want to make a donation. Cheers to Lisa and Anthony, who have already done that. Lisa on an earlier video, Anthony today on this video. That'd be great. So, as you can see, it's quite broad here, the actual path as well. And it's quite possible as well, you can see here that they could have easily have got the bus down here, or from an access from up in this direction as well. So it's perfectly feasible, although it is a sort of like a contained little area there. So it's just around the corner here, heading in this direction here, where the Arthur goes, oh yeah, Jack, my steering's gone all stiff. So that would have been around about here when he says the steering's gone all stiff. You see that lamppost and the telegraph pole beyond it in the background. Obviously it'd been out in the middle, more in the middle of the road here, round about here. And then it continues on down, and then Olive points out to Arthur, the man painting the markings in the middle of the road. So that would have been around about here, because you see that building there with a drain pipe down the side of it there, which is there. You just get that in the shot, and then you see the sort of like the telegraph pole, looks like it's almost coming out of Anna's head. here, if you remember the when he's painting the road signs and then his head's stuck in the pot and he goes to get up, you can clearly see that there's a circular panel in the middle of the road. Obviously it's changed to a square one now, but that is exactly, it wouldn't have changed at all. That's where it would have been, just access down into the sewers and such like. So that's where that would have been filmed there. So the man would have been down at round about this height, and it would all been filmed there. And where, as I say, the shots where Ronnie and the two Ronnies, Ronnie Wolf, Ronnie Chesney, are sitting on the edge of a wall, I would imagine it'd be that wall there. Because we didn't need to set up and do the prime filming here. It could have been another wall further up as well. There's a possibility it was a wall further up. I'd need to look at the photograph again. Need to look at the photograph again where Ronnie Wolf and Ronnie Chesney are maybe sitting on the wall there or sitting on the wall here. But this is where he's filming the where the man's painting the lines on the road. We're doing film from further back here in this direction. Just getting some people there. Wonder why. So that's the sort of angle that you would have got as he gets to his feet. So the motorbike carries on getting towed around this stage, and we see the handlebars getting ripped off, and I'll show you exactly about whereabouts that was. So if you recall, there was a traffic island cone here. Not here anymore, obviously. We know it's here because you've got the grain right at the edge of the road. You've got the lamppost on the corner of the road there, and you've got that tree growing at an angle that you see, and that tree over there that you see in the shot in the and Mutiny on the buses, when the motorbikes handlebars get ripped off right here. So that was all filmed here. And then we see the bus. Now this is another area for contention with some people, because they argue some people can't use their imaginations, that locations change so much, which is the case over the road here. You've got 115, the white door, and then 115A, which has been added. That is a new property built there since 1972. So in the film it would have just been 115 that was there, and that was all just nothing there. It was just a space and part of the lead up back down to the back garden. And I'll show it would have been filmed from across here, filming the bus pulling into Kenilworth Drive. Now sadly, the tree that was always a giveaway that this was the location, it was grown at a really bad angle. Used to be down here, just behind sort of like where that, just in front of that car there, where they've planted a new tree. That I do believe is where the old tree was, which was a good pinpoint to say to people, any doubters, that no, that is where the tree, you can see where the tree is still there to this day. If I go and show you, and you can look down at the ground, me and Jim went and had a look yesterday, you can see a lot of old bark that is probably from where they removed the last tree, because it was maybe growing at too much of a dangerous angle and they had to remove it and they put another tree in its place. Now if you look down there, you can see little bits of old bark there. That's not from a tree of this young age. That looks like that's from the tree that was there in the past. This is the one that you actually see in the Mutiny on the buses. So it's strange that there's so many things that are disappearing around the area that are just going, and it's really sort of like sad. So we're going to head up in the direction of as well the next location that there is up here. As I said, this is your big chance to see what you want to see. Just asking, I'll do it if I can. If there's any locations that you want to see, if you're happy for me to blather on and go on my wander, then you can take potluck if you would like, and hopefully it'll take in some of your favourite locations. So the next scene you may remember is from the On the Buses film, when Stan's got his flowers and he's going to visit Sally. Now this house has changed as well, because the same owner lived here up until maybe about 5 years ago, and then they sold it, and then sadly it's gone under renovation, a good deal of renovation, so it looks a lot different now. But it was definitely this location that they filmed at, because my friend Robert Hickey actually went and visited the lady who's warning them that there'd be people turning up for the On the Buses filming thingies, and he spoke to her and she said, yeah, I remember a film crew, I can't remember if it was On the Buses or not, she remembered the film crew came to her door and said, somebody will knock at your door but don't answer it. Now that would tally perfectly with the scene that we've seen On the Buses, of course, because you see Stan knocking on the door and there's no answer, and then he goes and looks around the side window. The side window that it cuts to, that wouldn't have been, that was never there, that would have been back at the studios, that was shot. But the door that he knocked on was definitely the door up here at 188 Borehamwood Road. It was the same door up until maybe about 5-6 years ago, but now it's totally changed. If I remember right, the last time I was up this way, I think they've added on maybe an extension to it, which is a shame. It's changed it totally, but hey ho, it's the people's property, they paid for it, so they can do what they want with it, can't they? There are people that are on another group, like the Borehamwood Not Elstree group, who have come on and said, no, it wasn't from there, it was Thornbury Gardens, which is the next road down. But I went and looked at that house, and it just doesn't tally with this, because it's a house that's got a big massive gap between the next properties are there, which isn't the case with this one. And as well, we've got the backup of the woman who said she remembers the film crew saying somebody would come and knock on the door, but she wasn't to answer it, which was exactly like happened On the Buses. See, so there you can see the extension that's been added on at the side there, a little mini extension, and that's 188. That's actually got the same door actually. So 188's got the same door, and the windows are all the same as well. So it's all sort of like done here. That's where this was filmed. Don't want to hang around because there's cotton twitchers there at the property next door to it, so don't want to hang around too long. So we're heading up in the direction now, not very far now away from Manor Way. As I say, anyone wants to donate who enjoyed the video today, then feel free, can donate. There's a way I'll tell you at the bottom of the screen. Every penny helps towards shoe leather and such like. It's like the old line from Carry On Behind, isn't it, where they says, oh, I must have used up about a pound of shoe leather, I must have walked so far I used up a pound of shoe leather. Yeah, not Twitters, Twitchers. Little bit of rain in the wind again. Ah, that's it. That's a line. swine. It was only just around the corner that he found the dog as well. So you can see the houses over there, as I'm saying. This is Thornbury Gardens you're into now, and there's much more gap between the houses, which you don't see in the we do not see in the location that Sally lived at. Granted, the houses look very similar, but the key thing is the amount of space there is between the properties here, whereas they're very close together actually, and the angles don't add up as in the film for Sally's house. Plus, of course, we've got the eyewitness account of the film crew actually coming to that property and saying, "Don't answer the door." Of course, that's evidence in itself, what I was saying as well, that they didn't actually film inside the property. That was all done where you see Jack, when he comes along and he pulls the curtain shut. That would be all done on the studio, on the set. So thank God I wasn't taking any photographs of these buildings up here. We're going out, look at that in my locations photos. There's scaffolding all the way down that building there. So almost at Manor Way now. I'm just going to cross over and I'll show you the location from where Jack collects all the fares and then he looks across the road. I'll just show you where that was filmed about. So the rear of the bus would be parked right here. We know that because of the mural wasn't there then. Obviously they've got a mural painted on the side of that wall, but it's very distinctive. They sort of like walkway there and the wall that leads on beyond that, going in that direction. That's the backdrop that you see. So this is where the bus would have been parked. Jack collects all the money in. And you can see the mural there. It's it's dedicated to the Muppets, which was made at obviously the ATV studios in Elstree, which is why there's a mural there. Somebody, when I posted this location up, they said, "Oh, looks terrible with all that graffiti." It's not actually graffiti, it's a mural that was put up there as a homage to a permitted mural at that. So it wasn't just somebody going mad with a graffiti can. But when you see Jack, he looks across at the bookmakers. The bookmakers is actually down in at Mill Hill Broadway in Edgware. It's a beauty salon type building now. Now, when I was on my way up here the other day, there was engineering work, so it was a case of catching a train from St Pancras off at Mill Hill, and then the bus took me up here to Elstree Borehamwood, and it actually passed the beauty salon, and that has changed a bit since I took my last photograph there. The side door that there is to it, that looks like it led up to property above it, it's been filled in. It looks like it's been made into like a stonework feature. So it has changed in appearance quite a bit. So there's another shot that you see here of just where all these cars are coming down the road. It's like where, just as the bus is about to come up to this spot here, so you would have filmed it just about where the white car is now, coming up here, and then it pulls to a stop here. And then further on down the road where you get where they would have been crediting Ronnie Wolf and Ronnie Chesney and the Mutiny on the buses. So this next location you may remember from Mutiny on the buses. This is when you see the policeman walking up, and he gets contacted by Blakey by mistake, and he's walking past a chemist, and is still a chemist to this day. You can see it there. He's just round about here, the view is that you get. Like that's the view that you get, and he says, yeah, I'll go straight away, I'll jump on a bus, and then Blakey flips at that remark. So that was filmed right here. So I'm going to head on down, and I'll show you what I've seen yesterday, which was a big disappointment and surprise. But that fills me a little bit more hope, because as I walk down here I can see here above the Launderette, and it's all boarded up, they shuttered up now, it's actually a to let sign. So obviously that's good. They're looking to let it as a Launderette, I would say. So it might very well, it probably will, looking at that, reopen as a Launderette. There you can see it there, the to let sign above it. So that's something at least that may very well reopen, as I thought, as a Launderette. Because if you think about it, why would they bother buying a shop and then look to try and have to spend Christ knows how much money, thousands and thousands of pounds, to whip out all the plumbing and the washing machines, the dryers that are in there? Wouldn't make any financial sense when they could go for another shop along this arcade that's not got any of that hassles with it. So fingers crossed it will stay as a Launderette. So of course this is around, just to show you where it would be, because it's at an angle. Where obviously they say, oh, he must be a knicker snatcher. So it would be like from around about here. And they says, oh, he must be a knicker snatcher, because that's the angle that you see from the Launderette in the background, just there, where the house is, and you see the policeman comes over to them as well. Now obviously this as well, you see these flats in the background with the balconies. This is Stirling Court, I think it's called. All of these in the background as well, when this is where Jean Varney, Reg's daughter, plays Mavis, and she says, oh, he must be a knicker snatcher, and that's the backdrop you see in the background. You see this house here in the background, that's all seen in the background as well. So just cross over here as well. Oops. And of course, when you see Stevens is standing at them, Blakey is standing at a stop. And he sees Stan's bus pulling up across the road. That's when he goes over to investigate. Right here. We know that because we see the drain cover there. And that's about the shot that you get, because you've got the no entry sign across the road there as well. So it'll probably be around about, I'm just trying to get the right angle, because you do see the flats that have got all the scaffolding around it in the shot as well. So it'll probably be around about there is about as close as I can get it for you. When you see him and he looks across and he sees the bus pulling up, the bus would have pulled up around about where that white van is parked at an angle across there by the lamp post. And of course, when you see the bus coming up to stop, when it does stop with Stan aboard, we see it heading in this direction, and you do see the Christian Fellowship, International Christian Fellowship Church, that building there just across the road. So that would have been around about here, where that was all filmed from. So the bus would have pulled up around about here, and then it runs across adjacent to the Launderette. I would say it was more parked across here because he runs at an angle, like where this white Nissan was parked. And then he runs at an angle from here across to the Launderette. And you see all those flats in the background, above the shops. So that's your locations here at Manor Way. There's one or two other ones that you see just up from around about with the bus heading up, and it credits Ronnie Wolf and Ronnie Chesney. So I'm going to head back down onto Elstree Way stroke Studio Way. If you've got any more locations you want me to visit, just post them up now. There's nothing really else along in this direction down here. They didn't film anything down in this direction, but this is the only way, quickest way to get back into town. So I hope you're enjoying this live walkabout of Borehamwood. If you've got any questions about anything at all, just post them up and ask now, and I'll answer them for you. Fill the space between walking, because there's nothing really of note to show down here that I am aware of. So yeah, the time that I've spent down here, I've probably added on about another 25 locations to add to my run through. So definitely now it'll be up, my total collection of now and then, so be up to between 750 and 800 filming locations, all on the buses. They are very, I was speaking about this to Jim yesterday. The problem with it is, if anyone that's got the copy, I've got a copy in my bag, but it's a little bit awkward to get out and show. It's such a thick book as is at the moment. The book that's out at the moment has only got just over 200 film locations in it. Now, as I just explained to you now, the new book would be probably 4 times, nearly 4 times as many filming locations in it. So you're talking about 4 times the width. So it's just far too big to fit into one copy. There are ways around it, I suppose, but there would all be ways that would levy comments like, oh, you're just trying to fleece the public and all that, you're trying to get more people money out of people. As the way that it could be done is compartmentalise it all, like do a separate book for the for on the buses filming locations from the first film, on the buses locations from the second film, on the buses locations from Holiday on the Buses. But people probably wouldn't take kindly to that, because you'd be having to pay out 3 times for instead of just the once. But that's the only way that you could do it, sort of like space-wise. And you could theoretically do on the buses filming locations in Wembley years, which would be filming locations from CS 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, which were all filmed at Wembley Studios, and then a separate one, the South Bank years. I've got probably about 100 and odd that could make out the Series 7 locations. But again, you would then be talking about making 5 books. Oh, it would be some size of an encyclopedia, though, that's what I'm saying. I mean, if you have a look at the book now, and the thing is as well, it's not just the sheer volume and size of the books, it's the actual cost of the book. Because the more photographs that you put into, a book, the more expensive it is to produce. So obviously mine's was expensive enough, which is why there had to be quite a high selling price for it to be a profit-making venture, if you see what I mean. So this book here would have nearly 4 times as many pictures in it, and it just doesn't become financially viable then. Obviously it'd be a different matter if it was like like my first book was, On the Bus is the Complete Story. That was a publisher who took the book on and says, yeah, we'll publish it. The problem with that is, you can do that, but then I would be putting in all this legwork and everything like that, and I would probably be making about 30 pence a book that's sold. Whereas I could self-publish it, and you only pay for the print costs, and then anything else that the book makes in sales, you keep that money for yourself, which is, you're probably talking, it would be about maybe £5-6. Sure as hell beats a 20 or 30 pence outlay. But of course the other side of the coin is you're not having to pay for anything actually putting the book into print. Like if you self-publish, you're going to have to spend about maybe a couple of £1,000 for it to go through a production phase, and then it would probably then be printed on a print on demand sort of basis. Because to print out, maybe say if you said you wanted a print run of 2,000 books, it's not financially viable either. Can you imagine 2,000 books times maybe £20 print cost? You would need to shell out £4,000 or something like that, which is to the normal person, you just haven't got that sort of money. No, it's not. No, that was down in Wembley, Range 7 Bow. That was down in Wembley, and Holt Road, where he's trapped in the sidecar. TV series were not filmed in Borehamwood. It was only the films that they filmed in Borehamwood. Series 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, they were filmed in North London because LWT were based in Wembley at that time. Then Series 7, by that time, they are custom built studios at South Bank, which is on the south bank of the River Thames, hence the name South Bank. All of the locations in Series 7 were South London based, obviously for convenience's sake of being close to the studios. So you can see the sort of like the problem that you've got of putting a book into publication of that covers filming locations that I've got now, which is like between 750 and 800 for the sheer volume. There's lots of problems. There's the print cost problem, the actual sheer size of the books problem. So there's all sorts of things. I mean, Jim said to me as well yesterday, he said, oh, why don't you put them all onto our DVD and release them? That's all very well doing that, but then you're going back into the same sort of like arc of having to pay X amount of money to go through production stages for it and such like. So it's just sort of like putting it onto a book. It would be more doable, but as DVDs now as popular as it was, say, 30 years ago. Obviously there's a lot of companies now that don't even that are really phasing out the DVD productions and all of that. So would it really be a financially viable avenue to go down as well? That's the sort of like the problems you've got. I weigh up, so if anyone's got any filming locations they want to see, obviously it would be more likely the ones that are on the south end of South Borehamwood area, south anywhere north Borehamwood, like i.e. where Blakey gets splashed. It's a little bit far to walk now. I've already probably walked about maybe 2-3 miles, maybe more today. Well, it's more because I actually walked in from a hotel which is right on the outskirts of Borehamwood. Yeah, so as I say, you can see the massive problems that you've got with putting the book into a production stage. Plus, I've had lots of people say that really enjoyed the locations book, but it's not hit the heights of sales as, say, the first book did, you know. It's probably not even sold 1,000 copies, so it's sort of like, if you're going to put a lot of money into a project, which I would like to do, obviously, and I'd love to see them all into book format. But if it's not financially viable, it's not financially viable, if you see what I mean. I mean, if the first copy's only sold, it's only maybe sold somewhere around about 700-800 copies, then it doesn't really encourage you to say, yeah, I'll go ahead and bash out another one. Because if it's only the first book only garnered that amount of sales, it would follow that the second book would be the same. So it's a tricky one. Obviously I would like to see it all sort of like in a book format in some form, but on the other hand it's not really financially viable, and it's not really technically viable, if you see, because of obviously the constraints of how big it would be as a book and such like. So I'm arriving back out onto Elstree Way now. And I hope by this walking around as well, you've got an idea of the sort of scale of Borehamwood and how far how quick it is to walk from location to location. So as I say, up and across in that direction, those that you watched the earlier video that I've done, you've got the Lidl, and just beyond that is where the clock tower for the British MGM studios would have stood, now long since gone obviously. These are all new here as well, new buildings around, have only cropped up in the last 10 years or so. And across there they're all new. So I'm heading westward back into the town centre of Borehamwood. Close across the way there, you can see a couple more of these plaques that they put up around the town. And also as well, like I said on the first video, you've got parts of this area here with the new housing estates and all that. They've actually called the streets after people in the film industry. Like across the road there, you've got, you can just make that out, Todd Close, which obviously was the actor Richard Todd. Much more, they tend to be much more up and over in that direction, where it's got a lot of the streets named after actresses and all that. I think there's Calder Close, which was after the producer. No, it was definitely Richard Todd. I know that for a fact. I think the late Paul Welsh told me it was Richard Todd as well. That's how I know it was Richard Todd. It was mainly people that worked within Elstree as well. I know Bob Todd worked here with Mutiny on the buses and such like. I think it was one of the runners at one of our events one year. It probably must have been Brian Campbell was telling me that he remembers that he was given the job. He used to have to running by laggers for Bob Todd. He liked his laggers, So he had to go to carry-out shops and take him back cans of lager. Because he liked his lager, did Bob Todd. Phil Campbell, sorry, not Brian Campbell. I think I said Brian Campbell. Apologies to Phil. There was 2 runners that we had along at our events who were. They actually, one of them had actually saved the poster that's on the side of the bus and on the buses, and bring it along to one of the events. That was Phil Campbell. Brian Reynolds, he actually worked on the first film as a runner. They're both Hammer runners. They've got a book out there somewhere called The Hammer Runners, and they relate all these stories that they had working on films and all of that. And I remember Brian telling me that there was one time he was on the set and he had to give a piggyback to Madeline Mills to lift her across, because she had this sort of like fancy dress on for filming, and it's like a wet area. There was lots of puddles around, so they didn't want it to get any splash and damage on it. So I think he had to carry her through the puddles so she didn't get any dirt on her dress. So if anyone's got any more questions, you can ask away and I'll answer them for you about anything in particular, just while I'm still on this long walk back into the town centre. You can see the back of the George Lucas set up there. No, that was a studio set. TV series and the film, it was a studio set. And on the buses, the only place, the house that they actually filmed in was the camp manager's house and the holiday on the buses. And only the scenes where he's where they're in the living room and then he goes down the spiral staircase. The bedroom scenes and all of that, where the camp manager's bouncing up and down in the bed and Reggie's underneath, that was actually back in the studios. So not actually in the bedroom at that house. Same with a lot of people make the mistake of thinking that they filmed in Turnaround Betty's house in White House Avenue. They didn't. The only time they would have went in there with a camera is to get the upstairs shot when Bob looks out and he sees the boss pulling up behind. It's not Bob actually up there, it would have just been a camera filming that. So here's another one of these plaques as well. I'll tell you how you know that, because if you have a look, you see out of the window, you see a backdrop of a 2-storey house. Now at White House Avenue, as you've seen today, it's bungalows with pointed roofs that are across the road, so it's a totally false backdrop that they've got there for that house. And you can see that it's not actually a house anyway, it's just one of those painted sort of like scenery things. Same with all the chalet shots as well, and the holiday on the buses, that was all filmed at the LCD Studios. only externally did they film outside the chalet blocks and all that. That was all done at Pontins Prestatyn Sands. Yeah, Simon, the films, the first film was made at the end of Series 4. So Series 4 had finished production at the end of 1970. So early 1971, around the springtime, is when they went into filming for the first spin-off film. Then Series 5 of On the Buses came along, and that was filmed after the film had been made. They filmed Series 5, which was the second half of 1971. And then 1972, at the beginning of 1972, you had the Series 6 was filmed. Then Mutiny on the Buses came. And then at the end of, obviously, Mutiny on the Buses was filmed around the spring, summer 1972. And then you had, well, I'll tell a lie, sorry, Series 5, and then it was Mutiny on the Buses, and then Series 6 was the tail end of 1972. And then 1973 you had the Series 7 of On the Buses, and then you had Holiday on the Buses was the last work that they ever done together, working together. I'm just trying to think if I've got that timeline right. Yeah, because the Series 6 of On the Buses was filmed at the end of 1972, because that was a reason as well that Michael, that would clash with the Time and Time Again, the stage show that he wanted to appear in. So there was a clash there, so he either had to do Time and Time Again or knock it back and to do Series 7 of On the Buses. That was it, but that's why he knocked it back. Sorry, Series 6 didn't clash with his filming. It was Series 7 that clashed with the filming of his Time and Time Again, and he didn't want anything stepping in the way of being able to do his stage show, Michael Robbins' Time and Time Again. It was sort of like it was a popular, it was Alan Ayckbourn who actually wrote the stage show, who was quite a very well noted playwright. So it was a very good opportunity, too good an opportunity to turn down. Michael was like Bob, really loved his stage work above all else. That was his preferred sort of like genre of acting, which you do get actors like that. John Gielgud was the same. I do believe Laurence Olivier was much the same as well. They really loved the stage work, the Shakespearean stuff and all of that. There's your LC Studios again, which I showed you on the earlier. I don't want to hang around here too long though, because I'll have my phone confiscated. The best way I would say is just get out and have a look around some charity shops in Sittingbourne. You can get DVDs now, the box sets, you can pull them in for about $3.99 a pop, which isn't anything too shabby to, it's not exactly a deal breaker, is it? You can watch them whenever you want. That's the best way to do it. Anywhere that you say that you could say, oh, watch them here or watch them there, they're more than likely going to be a legal way of illegal way of watching it, which is, in a way, to me, it's ripping off the stars of the show, because anytime things gets repeated and things like that, or DVD sales, they used to get a little bit of royalty from it, but people stopped watching via the legal routes. Those royalties are going to dry up for the obviously it's now the estates of Reg, Michael, Doris, Bob, Stephen, you know, and Michael. So it's that's the thing to think about there. So my answer to that would be go out and get the DVD. You can get it in charity shops, and the charity shops are just sort of like, you can get them, if you look around in charity shops, you can get them as cheap as like maybe even cheaper than $3.99 that I said. You could maybe pick them up for like £1. Right, so I've done a full circuit here. I've not got any more recommendations for any more filming locations, so I'm going to stop for now. I may come back online later on if I've got any other ideas to do a live video around here, but at the moment I'm going to maybe go and get myself some lunch or something like that, and I'm going to stop for now, okay? But I hope you've all enjoyed this live walkabout with a difference, giving you a chance to see some of the locations you want to see. And thanks to everyone that donated as well, which is really helpful. It helps go towards the funds of making these things happen. So I'd like to thank you all for that, and I hope you've enjoyed this stream, okay? I'll say goodbye for now. Thanks everyone. Bye from Borehamwood.